And to get us caught up, we're going to turn now to Brian Katten, who's coming to us with a new look this week as he's joined our men's hockey team for Movember. Brian, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, just quickly, the men's hockey team joined in a campaign. It's called Movember. It's supposed to lend some direction and draw attention to men's health issues, particularly prostate issues and such. And the focus is to grow a mustache and wear it for the entire month of November, thus the name Movember for Mustache in November. And they're raising funds generally, just going around and soliciting people to give up donations to support the cause. And I believe as of last week, they had about $1,500 raised, which is great.
Yeah, great cause, and great to see Wesleyan Athletics getting involved with something like that. And now we're going to turn to the part of the show that we always have fun with, putting Brian on the clock, seeing how fast he can get through the past week for Wesleyan Athletics. So, Brian, your 2 minutes are going to start now.
Great. Well, only having to cover 5 sports is terrific, and we'll start with men's women's ice hockey. Both teams went 1-1 on their opening NESCAC weekend. The women beat Williams in their opener 2-0. Ashley Corvey with 35 saves, just her second career shutout, even though she started about 62 games over the course of her career. But shutouts, very tough to get in women's ice hockey, and she pulled off the goose egg, getting off to a good start. And then Williams came back and won 2-0 in the second game. Also, Laura Wasnick scoring twice in 23 seconds to get the 2 goals for Wesleyan in that win. Men's ice hockey knocked off Conn College 5-2 in its opener. Tommy Hartnett with a pair of goals. Keith Bueller with a goal and an assist to lead the way. And then they dropped a 4-2 decision to Tufts, and I know they're disappointed about that. That's 3 straight wins for Tufts over the Cardinals. Moving into wrestling, a nice performance at the usual opener for the team, the Doug Parker Invitational at Springfield. Wesleyan finishing 4th out of 16 squads, just a half point behind host Springfield in 3rd place. That's interesting, the turnaround from last year's NUA, but I think we'll take the NUA championship over this one. 6 Cardinals in the top 4 in their weight classes, 5 of them seniors, and the top performer, Makay Nagata, at 133, finished second, as Coach Drew Black called him. He pinned his way to a second-place finish, winning his first 4 matches all by pin, and then dropping a 6-3 decision in the finals. The other seniors all finished in 3rd place. Howard Tabachnik at 157, Kyle Rusa at 174, Jefferson Ajayi at 184, and at 141 it was Nick Scotto, all finishing 3rd, and a 4th place finish at 197 by the newcomer, Josh Matea. So a good performance across the board there. Quickly with squash, Daniel Sneed, great performance in the openers in the Boston round robin. He went 4-0, defeating rivals from Middlebury, ranked 15th in the country, and Brown, ranked 17th. The Cardinals are ranked 23rd. So when you win facing teams ahead of you, that's an excellent performance, and he was 4-0. Cardinals also beating Boston College and MIT. Women going 2-2, splitting, losing to the really tough teams that they played, Middlebury and Brown. Middlebury ranked 11th, Brown ranked 9th, Wesleyan ranked 18th, and they defeated Wellesley and Boston College. So good performances across the board.
All right. This last weekend, we also had some action in the pool, and you were there earlier tonight with competing this Monday night against Amherst,
right.
I believe. So get us caught up on what was happening in the water.
Well, we'll start with the contest against Bates on Saturday, where the women were victorious 91.5 to 84.5. Just kind of an abbreviated 11-event meet. Normally you'll swim 13 or 16 events, as they did tonight, 16 events against Amherst. But they kind of cut out the distance free and the 200 free, and that was much to the Cardinals' advantage in this one, as Bates kind of dominated the freestyle events. Wesleyan much more dominant in the other strokes, going 1-2 in the backstroke, going 1-2 in the breaststroke, 1-2 in the fly, and also winning the IM. And that victory by Karakoka Ivel in the, I think it was the 200 individual medley, proved to be kind of the turning point. She touched out her Bates rival by about a quarter of a second, and had she not done that, it would have been a 10-point turnaround, and that 7-point Wesleyan win would have become a 3-point win for Bates. So a very important win, and that was the final individual event before the 800 free relay. For the men, they lost 117 to 76, but it was 91-76 in the pool. Wesleyan had no divers available, and Bates took 26 points in the diving. So in the pool, fairly close, and a good job by Brendan Fortin, doing very well in his events. I believe he won the 500 free. Did a couple of second and third place finishes as well. So Wesleyan, it's going to be a learning curve as the season goes on, as kids continue to improve. And I think what we saw tonight against Amherst from Jacques Basile, a freshman, very, very powerful young man, very strong in the upper body, who seems to have taken the breaststroke by storm. And when he sprints the 50 or the 100 breast, the water's just churning. I was trying to get pictures of him, and there's just water in his face the entire time, and that's because he's churning it. He won by a comfortable 2-second margin against Amherst in the 100 breast tonight, and I think we're going to see some very good results from him as the season wears on. Amherst solidly victorious in both men's and women's tonight, as has been the case for a long time. But good performances on the women's side. Angela Slevin winning both backstroke events, and in a solid way, not just getting it because Amherst swam unofficially or something. She won them both outright. And Rachel Hirsch doing well in the breaststroke as well on the women's side. So, and Kara Koch-Eibel as well in the freestyle. And we'll see some good stuff as we get more into teams that we're a better match with, like Bates.
All right, now we're going to turn to the Cardinals spotlight, as both our men's and women's cross-country teams were in action at the NCAAs this past weekend, and we had an All-American performance, is what I heard as well. So get us caught up on what happened in Indiana.
Michael, you heard correctly. Brian Marsh finished 16th out of 276 runners at the NCAA championships out in Terre Haute, Indiana. He was only about 24 seconds off the winning time, which, when you consider how many runners there are, this is such an elite group, and when you're only 30 seconds or so, or even less behind the top runner in the country, that says a lot. And what I think is even more important from his standpoint is he finished 10th in New England in the qualifier to get out to nationals. At nationals, he finished 4th among the New England runners. So to show that kind of improvement against your peer group is a very impressive thing. He also moved up from 35th as a junior when he first became an All-American last year to 16th, and that's a tremendous improvement against a very, very difficult group to run against. So very strong performance. We're very proud of Ryan for pulling that off. Skylar Cummins also competed at nationals. He finished 103rd. Usually he's right on Brian's tail. I'm not exactly sure why there was a drop-off there, but it was a pretty hilly course. I was watching a bit of the webcast, and that field undulated quite a bit, so maybe that just wasn't to Skylar's liking. On the women's side, Julia Mark, who had qualified, competed, finished 130th out of 277, still top half in the country, and that's still a great performance when you consider how many good runners there are at nationals. So we have to be proud of cross country sending 3 individuals to the NCAAs this year, a good performance for the Cardinals, and maybe at some point we'll be back to sending a team out there.
All right, well, thanks, Brian, for getting us caught up on all the action in Wesleyan sports this past week.